I've got liquid foundation on one half of my face and powder foundation on the other. Stay tuned to find out why. Hey guys, it's Erin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have got a new palette to try out for you guys, and it is this one here. This is the Smashbox Light Theory, and it is part of their Master Class Palette series. And this one is actually a pretty good one, at least from what I can see. I haven't tried any of them yet, so we're going to be doing this together, as usual. Picked this up while I was down in Tallahassee. I went shopping with my friend, and she was looking for a little bit of makeup, and we decided on this palette. Well, she decided on it, and I decided I needed to have one too. She was pretty much looking for color correcting and some contouring stuff and things of that nature. And for her, this is pretty much her whole face in a box. So we went ahead and got that for her. It is $65 and it is available at Sephora. That is the only place that I have seen it so far. For a situation like my friend had, this is definitely going to be a good palette for you. It's also going to be a good palette if you travel a lot or if you don't really want to have a whole lot of stuff in your collection. It may be okay for somebody who's just starting out in makeup, but there is a lot of cream in here, and that might be a little bit more difficult if you are not, you know, well practiced in makeup or don't have somebody to show you how to do it. So let's go ahead and go through all this stuff right now. Now, as I said in the introduction, I do have powder foundation on half of my face and liquid foundation on the other half. The reason I did that was because inside this palette there is a bunch of highlighters and contouring and things of that nature, blushes as well. And I want to show you guys what that looks like actually on your foundation. So first off, before we do any of that, let's go ahead and take a look at what is inside of this palette. First and foremost, the packaging on this is pretty interesting. It's got this nice little kind of holographic effect going on, and it's kind of neat. It is very thick. It's kind of binder-like. Okay, and it does have this nice little elastic closure. It's nothing too special, nothing over the top, but it is a good-looking palette. And inside, we have got the actual palettes themselves. This is all your face stuff right here, or at least most of the stuff that's in there. And then over here you have your eyeshadows, which are powder eyeshadows, and then you got powder blushes. So everything on this side here is powder, and everything on this side here is cream. You've got these little cards to go over, which is what makes it kind of decent for somebody who's just getting into it. There's a whole stack of these little cards. I want to say there's a bunch of them. There's at least 3 on the front, and probably about the same in the back. Looks like it. Looks like there's 2 or 3 in the back as well. And they pretty much, they give you the front portion actually shows you what everything is for and how to use it, and the back section actually gives you looks that you can create with this particular palette. Now, being cream stuff, it's good that they did it this way, because you do have these little plastic things that close over the top, and those, I mean, if you strong arm it, you can pop them off, but why would you want to? These can lift out of the palette if you want to lay them down in front of you, or you can just leave them inside here, which is what I'm going to do. Now, since we have a lot of stuff going on in this kit, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start applying this stuff. Just so you know, I'm not going to apply this with any rhyme or reason. I'm not going to create a look out of these. I'm just going to apply them to my face in areas that you probably wouldn't normally apply them, solely because I want to show you guys how they react to your actual foundation. So on this side of my face I have powder, and on this side of my face I have got the liquid foundation. Just to make sure that this comes out as well documented as possible, I'm going to tell you guys everything I have on my face right now. Obviously I did my moisturizer. On my entire face, I went to a craft fair today, so I have a sunburn. On my entire face, I put this stuff on, which I reviewed in my last video. This is the Pure Minerals Color Correcting, and this is the green cream. My entire face is red because of the sunburn, so I do have this on my entire face. On the liquid foundation part, I have the Estee Lauder Double Wear Nude, which is, I don't know if this can be read because of the gold and my lighting, but this is the cushion foundation, And I just got this. This is only probably the second time I'm wearing this, but this is what I have on this side of my face. On the powder side of my face, I have the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Powder Foundation, which I also reviewed in the last video, and this is the color Sateen. I did do a little bit of concealing on my face. I did under my eyes because in my last video I looked like I had been beat up. So I put a little bit of concealer underneath my eyes. I did cover up a damaged spot on my face and a couple of pieces of a breakout that I'm starting up. The concealer that I used is the Bare Minerals. It's this here. And again, it's not on a whole lot of my face, but it is there. And on the part of my face where I have the liquid foundation, I did use the Laura Geller Matte Maker powder. It is a translucent pressed powder. And this is what it looks like here. I believe I already covered this in another video, but that is what I put on to set the liquid portion of my foundation. Now, because I've already got my foundation on, instead of putting the color correcting pieces on, I'm just going to swatch those for you guys. So what you've got here is the lavender, green, peach, and orange. This was applied with a finger, not a brush. I want to show you guys how easy these are to blend out. I'm hoping I kind of blended them together a little bit. I put them too close together. But just so you can see how easy these are to blend out. There you go. Probably would come out a little bit better as far as blending wise if you use something like a beauty blender or my little e.l.f. Cosmetic applicators. Something of that sort might blend them out a little bit easier, but even with the finger they did seem to blend out very well without actually vanishing. Okay, now to reiterate, I'm not actually going to put this makeup on in places where you would normally put it on. I'm just going to put them on to show you guys how it lays on your foundation so that you can make a judgment from there. If you're looking for looks, there are other videos on YouTube that do looks. I'm not real big on looks because, especially with contouring and highlighting, I'm okay, but I don't think I'm good enough to show you guys how to do it. So we're just going to see how it lays on the face. I am actually going to use an angled brush to put these onto my face, and this is by e.l.f. Cosmetics. I use this brush on a regular basis. It's a pretty good brush. It is fairly fluffy, as you can see, but I like it. Okay, so the first one that we are going to try out is this one here, which is the contour shade. And again, just putting it on my face. This side is the liquid side, so let's go ahead and put it on there first. Okay, let's try this. Okay. Wow. It's pretty dark in there, but that's the contour shade on the liquid foundation side of it. And let's see if that blends out anymore. And that's blended out. Remember, it's going to look a little bit goofy because it is kind of high up on my cheek, which is where it is not supposed to be. Now we're going to do it on the powdered foundation side. And this is what it looks like on the powder foundation side. As you can kind of see there. I kind of look like a football player like this. Let's see how that blends out. And there you go, it's blended out. It is a cream, so it is going to be a little bit shinier. You may even want to, I did not bring my beauty blender in, or my applicator, my little e.l.f. applicator. The applicators are probably going to blend these out just a little bit better. And I may have put a little bit much on. Yeah, that blended out pretty well, I think, for a cream. Obviously, you're going to want to set it with a powder. And for good measure, since I have my powder here, we will do that when I'm done putting all these creams on my face. Even though I'm going to look completely ridiculous. But there you go. It is catching the light. Please remember I do have lights set up. So it is catching the light a little bit. When I'm looking at myself in the mirror, it's actually blended in quite well. But it is picking up the light quite a bit because it's a cream. So it looks like it's all highlighted and it looks like it's collecting. Let's try to get a close-up so you can really see it. Okay, so this is the contour shade on the powder side. And this is the contour on the liquid side. Okay, so now that I already look ridiculous, let's continue, and we are going to move on to... We're going to move on to the bronzer. Oh, goody. Okay, so on the liquid side... Okay, the bronzer is actually a pretty nice shade. It's nice and light colored. As you can see, well, on the viewfinder it looks pretty dark, but this is the bronzer right here, and let's try to blend that just a little. These are showing up really glossy on video, but they're not too bad. Oh, that turned out not too bad there. There you go. Okay, that is, again, that's the liquid side. Let's try it on the powdered side. Okay, here we are on the powdered side. The difference between blending and actually applying doesn't seem to be too drastic. I don't know if it's showing up darker or not on the powder side. When I'm looking in the mirror, it doesn't appear to be, but when I look in my viewfinder, it looks like it's applying darker to the powder than it is to the liquid, or at least I think it does anyway. But it's actually not. It seems to be pretty even either way you go. It looks like once it's blended out on the powder, it's not quite as shiny, which you would expect it. It's powder. But there you go. This is the, ignore this, you're looking here. This is the bronzer here on the powder side, and this is the bronzer here on the liquid side, and both have been blended out with my fingers. Okay, since there are several highlighters in here, I will show you guys which ones that we're working with at the time. There are 4 highlighters. Ooh, I popped that off. That is not good. Don't mind me, I dropped it. The one that I'm actually working with right now is the one right here, which is just labeled as the highlighter. Okay, highlighter on the liquid foundation side, and it's going to be way low. There's that. Oh, that blended out really nicely. Okay, I don't think you can see it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. This is a very muted highlight tone. A little bit more gloss than the, what is it, the Dandelion Shy Beam that I did the other day. It's got a little bit more gloss to it than that, but it's not an overwhelming, ultra shiny highlight. It's a very subtle highlight, just enough to bring out your eyes or to bring out your nose or your forehead, wherever you want to put it. It's very, very subtle. It's very, very smooth, and it's very, very easy to blend out, which I absolutely love, because I've got so many highlighters that are actually really pretty, but they don't blend out really well, and that's when you start to end up looking like you're an oil factory. And for the powder side, I'm going to put it right down here. Okay, on the powder side, this is a little bit cakier, but it's not too terribly bad. Before I blend it, if you can see it, you can kind of make it out right here. And let's blend it out just a little. Okay, that blended out really nice, and again, still very subtle. As you can see, oops, sorry. As you can see, it's still very subtle, but it is a nice highlight. I'm really starting to look like a clown. Okay, so the next highlighter that I'm going to do is the Luminous Pink, which is this color right here. And I'm going to do that on my chin because my chin is less red than my forehead and my nose. So we're going to do it there so that it doesn't kind of try to play off of what's underneath my makeup. Now, because I split the makeup right down the middle of my face, we're just going to go ahead and do one swatch, and we're going to do it across my chin so that you can see it immediately on both. Okay. My brush didn't really seem to pick that up. I guess you can kind of see it there. Let's do this. Let's do it with the finger. So here's the Luminous Peach on my finger, and we're going to put it on my chin like so. And I'll do the other two this way as well. That blends in really nicely. Okay, so that's what my chin looks like. Let's take a close-up. Okay, so that is the Luminous Pink highlighter on my chin. And again, liquid foundation over here and powder foundation over here. The next highlighter that I'm going to do is this one in the middle, and this is the Luminous Gold. Again, I'm going to apply it with my finger, and then I'm going to brush it out with my little angled brush here, and I'm going to do this one down my nose. Here is the Luminous Gold on my finger. Now let's get this thing on my nose. These are actually gentle enough that you can blend them out with your finger. So if you don't have a fancy brush or anything like that, you can actually blend these out with your finger. It's not too bad. You just have to be pretty careful. I am going to blend it with my finger, with my brush, just a little bit. And there is the highlight on my nose. Here's the somewhat close-up of my nose with a highlight. Again, these are very subtle. They're not terribly shiny. They're not terribly sparkly either, which I like because I'm not a sparkly kind of gal. But right down the center, and I got a little off to the side. I think I put a little bit too much on, but there you go. And last but not least is the Luminous Peach, which is this color right here. And I actually have high hopes for this one. We're going to put this one on my forehead, again using my finger. This is the Luminous Peach on my finger. Now let's put this stuff on my forehead. Make my forehead all shiny. Okay, this is definitely my favorite. I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but this one is my favorite. Let's do a close-up because my lights are catching my whole forehead. The Luminous Peach on my forehead. Okay, now because I said I would, I'm going to use this nice little brush, also an e.l.f. brush. This is the Kabuki brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to use the Laura Geller Matte Maker. And we're going to put this all over my face again, including on the places where I have powder foundation. Okay. Okay, that is the liquid side where the bronzer and the contour is, as well as the top highlight. And let's try the powdered side. And this is the powdered side. So liquid side and powdered side. Shall we do the highlighter just to see? Yeah, let's do the highlighter. Powdering down all three highlighters. measure. And there you go. So this is what all the contours and the bronzer and all the highlighters end up looking like with powder on them. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and pick a random spot on my face to put these on. So first off, we're going to start off with the darker pink color, which is called Candlelight. And again, I'm using my angled brush, and I think I'm going to put that over the highlighter on the bottom. We're going to try to miss the bronzer, but let's go ahead and do this. Okay, right here. As you can see, that's pretty dark. And not as dark in front of me as it is on the viewfinder. So it's not as hideous pink as it looks in the camera. There we go. And again, that's the liquid side. And on the powder side, there's that actually, okay, this, as you can see right here, it seems to lay a little bit better on the powder foundation than it does on the liquid foundation. I don't feel like it came on like blazing dark matte pink, you know. It's just a nice subtle pink. It's not too bad. Okay, the next shade that we're going to do is the Candlelight, which has a little bit of shimmer to it, and that's going to be the lighter pink, which I think is probably going to come out a little bit bright. Where am I going to put this? You know what? Just for good measure, I'm just going to put it right here. Okay, right here. Not too bad. Nice subtle color, and it does add a little bit of shimmer right in here. There it is on the powder side. In all honesty, this one seems to work out well on both sides, and it's a pretty light pink. I will swatch these when I'm done just so you can see what it looks like without 500 pounds of makeup I now have on my face. Okay, last but not least is Spectrum, which is the darker of the colors. It is also a matte, and I'm going to just put that on my forehead because it's the only space I have left open. I'm just going to go right across my forehead. Ooh. That is a very nice color. Not that I'm ever going to need to put blush on my forehead outside of this video, mind you, but there is that nice little color. It's kind of an orangey brownish color. This one is going to need to be blended quite a bit, I think, but not too shabby. As for swatches, we've got Candlelight, Carnation, and Spectrum. So I went ahead and took a break to take off that makeup so I don't look completely ridiculous for the rest of the video, just my regular ridiculous looking self. For the eyeshadows that we're going to cover here today, I am actually going to just swatch those for you. I'm not going to put those on my face. I am going to take the time to do both a finger swatch and a brush swatch, so you'll see those together. Let's go over the colors that are available. These are the eyeshadow palettes. You've got a nice mix of neutrals with a couple of pops of color. You also have plenty of matte colors as well as shimmers. So there's a little bit of something in here for everybody, and there's a whole lot of looks that you guys can do with this stuff. So this is a pretty nice little palette as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so the way that I did these is the finger swatches on the top and the brush swatches on the bottom. And from right here to here, you've got Sand, Totally Nude, Nectar, and Almond. These eyeshadows are very, very powdery. So when you're applying them, make sure that you are careful about fallout, because I think you're going to get some from this. For the brush swatching, I am using this brush here, which is a Sephora smudge brush. So it's probably going to be a little bit rough, but unfortunately this is the only brush I have right now that's clean. Okay, once again, we have the finger swatch on the top and the brush swatch on the bottom. And from here to here, we have got Truffle, Light Wave, Sunrise, and Sunlight. And I seriously think that these three colors here are probably my favorites on the whole palette. But this is what those look like. These are some darker shades. Again, on the top is the finger, on the bottom is the brush. And from here to here, we have got Optics, Metallic Violet, Metallic Bronze, and Metallic Brick. Again, the top is the finger, the bottom is the brush, and from here to here, you have got Nocturnal, Blackout, Sumatra, and Backlit. Overall, I like the palette. I definitely think it would be decent for somebody who's a little bit more advanced with makeup, but also somebody who doesn't really know all the ropes yet. It's a good travel kit, good starter kit, and a good pro kit. Everything in the kit seems to be very blendable. Everything seems to be very, very creamy, but the powdered stuff is extremely powdery. As I said earlier, if you're using the eyeshadows, you need to be very, very careful of fallout. It's producing a lot of powder. It produced a lot of powder. Not necessarily a bad thing, but not necessarily a good thing either. If you are a person who does, like me, who does your eyes after you do your foundation, it could cause a little bit of a problem. So I would definitely hold something underneath your eye to catch the fallout so that it doesn't land on your actual foundation. The eyeshadow colors seem to be very blendable, very versatile. I can see a lot of really good looks coming out of this kit, and I'm sure at some point in time, I am getting ready to start a new series. At some point in time, this palette is probably going to show back up on my channel while we're doing some of those different looks that I'm going to be doing. As I said, I am going to be starting a new series on here, and it's going to be based around Pinterest pins, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking some of the looks that you see on Pinterest, and we're going to try to do them. Not a makeup artist, not a professional, just your average chick. We're going to learn how to do these together. I'm going to show you how I do them, and we're going to see if we can actually recreate some of those looks. I am expecting a lot of fails, so it could be a lot of fun. Overall on the kit though, I'm thinking it's probably a pretty good purchase for you. It's something you need to go over with yourself in the store, on the web, whatever you need to do. Decide if you're going to use most of the palette. Some of the colors in the palette are very dark, some of them are very light, they are very powdery, and also if you're not going to use the highlights or the contours or the color correcting, you're kind of erasing a good chunk of the palette at that point, and it's not going to be worth your money if you're not going to use all of that stuff. I decided for me that it was a good purchase because I am going to use all of that stuff. I totally anticipate that I'm going to use every piece of this palette at some point in time or another. So for me, it made sense. It may not make sense for you, and I'm not going to say that I recommend it or that I don't recommend it, because it's totally going to be based on your needs. It is a $65 palette, so it's not exactly cheap. But for what you're getting in the kit, it's not a bad purchase. And if you're somebody who's purchasing a kit like this because they want to condense their makeup, it's definitely a good buy. Spend the money now. Don't spend the money on a bazillion different pieces to put together to have this humongous collection of makeup like I have in my bathroom just to get the perfect face look. You got it in one box. So if you're trying to condense, if you're just starting out, definitely a good palette to go for. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. I do try to make at least one video per week. I'm going to be trying to make more than that, but we'll see what happens. I am going to be starting a new series, as I said, so hang in there for that. I'm hoping to get that started within the next couple of weeks. Thanks, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye.